Welcome back to the Sad Dad Games podcast. I'm Shan.
I'm Eric.
I'm Tucker.
And I'm Lundy.
We're going to be doing Expedition 33, Act 3, the finale, and talking about some tangential missions that you can do. So everything is spoilable in the entire story from here on out. Get ready for it. Strap on your diapers because you're about to shit yourselves. Does that work? It doesn't work, does it?
It's perfect. It was the best intro I've ever heard.
Keep it.
Yeah. Eric is the most. I mean, how many pants changes have you gone through, Eric?
Yeah. A million. This game just keeps changing on me. It keeps switching things up, and I feel like every time I feel like I'm about to understand it, it's like, just kidding, I'm a whole different thing. And so,
yeah, Eric was the only one that hadn't finished it up until this point, so he was actually playing it as we were playing it every week.
Yeah.
We're talking about it, and so, you know, all of us have gone through the, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, we have to talk to somebody about it phase, and Eric just went through that, like, what, yesterday?
Yeah, I beat it just a couple days ago, so.
Yeah, and it's one of those few games where it lingers with you after you're finished, such that it's like, did that just change my life? Let me think about this. Yes.
Yeah, I can't get it out of my head. I feel like this is a rare gaming experience that comes along once every, 5 to 10 years that just like tells it.
For me, it's like every 2 to 3. But
well, okay. I mean, maybe I might be exaggerating, but because recency bias. But
Death Stranding 2 came out this year too.
Yeah, I know. So, and I mean, and sometimes we're spoiled, and we get multiple experiences like that back to back, which is kind of crazy. But even compared to Death Stranding 2, Expedition 33 feels like something special. It's just the story caught me so completely off guard in so many ways.
So, life-changing game stories. Tucker, do you want to start? Which games
it's funny.
stuck with you and changed your life?
I was just going to talk about that. That was my a little while ago, and then Eric kept on talking, so I wouldn't interrupt him.
Awesome.
This one for sure.
Yes.
Last of Us 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
More so 2 than 1. But I think Death Stranding 2 over Death Stranding
and not 1? Oh, well, over,
I mean, yeah, 1 was kind of the medium one for me, but 2 really hit home. And then I'm going to go with Uncharted 4.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Uncharted 4 is a good one.
That one made me realize that I need to be a better husband and communicate with my wife.
Exactly.
Learn from Nathan Drake's mistakes. Yeah.
Exactly. He made a very powerful point about what not to do.
Yeah.
All right.
I think those are my top ones. I'm trying to think if there's any older games. It's hard because I just relatively recently got into narrative-driven games as my game of choice. So really, it's going back 6-ish years.
Yeah. Once I got you to get your PlayStation and you did that binge session.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. God of War's up there too. God of War.
That was going to be one I threw in there.
That was a great story.
First one. The second one, I've forgotten most of the story. It doesn't have the same emotional resonance that the first one does. First one will straight up stick with you for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ragnarok was a very good game, but it didn't have the same impact as the first one.
The story wasn't as powerful.
Yeah.
It was cool, but... All right, Lundy, what are your big... This changed me.
Obviously, The Last of Us. Spider-Man, Insomniac Spider-Man really, hit home. Legend of Dragoon, obviously, gotta plug that
I've
one.
never heard of it.
What game?
Yeah, it's this really niche game that, nobody's heard of except for 5 people worldwide.
And 4 of them are right here.
But not by choice, but...
Yeah. So, but that one for sure, that was... Yeah, I don't need to get into that. We have other things to talk about that are more impressive and more pressing.
How many hours could Lundy talk about Legend of Dragoon? So this is a secret episode. It's a review for Legend of Dragoon. It's not actually about Expedition 33. Yeah.
You've been punked. Episode 6. This is about Legends of Dragoon.
Yeah. I could probably talk. I could probably go without a break talking about that game for at least an hour.
And he has with me a couple times.
All right, Eric, your life changers.
Well, you guys already said a lot of them. The Last of Us Part
Yeah.
1 and 2 were pretty big ones. I remember finishing
1 or
Last
2
of
was
Us-
more powerful to you.
Probably 2.
Okay.
And we talked about it a lot in the episode, but there are several parts in that game where I remember having a hard time seeing the screen through my tears, just like really emotionally impactful. Ocarina of Time is obviously a big one for me. Not a huge narratively driven game, but was a life-changing experience for me. Spider-Man 1 and 2, like Lundy as well, I really enjoy those games. They kind of stuck with me, particularly Spider-Man 2. I was kind of floored by that for a while afterwards. I just couldn't get it out of my head. The Mass Effect trilogy are huge. I
bring that
love
one up
those
a lot,
games. Mass Effect 3 gets a lot of hate for the ending, and I'm just going to have an unpopular opinion and say everybody who hates on the ending of Mass Effect 3 can go suck a lemon. You guys are being whiner babies.
That's one of the least offensive things you can suck.
Yeah. Well, there are so many more offensive things. So, and I mean, it did obviously, like, it wasn't perfect. The ending wasn't great, but it's like 100 hours of awesome, trilogy before that, and everyone's like, but the ending of 3 was bad, and so I hate it. It's stupid Mass Effect. And it's like, yeah, but the games they're incredible games with awesome stories and some of the best like character driven storytelling I've ever seen in games. So Mass Effect is a huge one for me. Death Stranding, I feel like we're hitting on a lot of the same ones, but
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of the same ones. I would have chosen Death Stranding 1 over 2. I prefer, like, I prefer the story that happens in 2 more, but I think the story in 1 was told better. Because I think he was willing to sacrifice a lot more of the structure and pacing of the game in order to tell a story right. And the second one had a more powerful story, less well told, because he was trying to make it more evenly paced with the game mechanics. And, it's just a trade-off. Last of Us 1, 2, Resident Evil 4 for me, Earthbound.
Oh, yeah.
Those are a couple I'm going to throw on there, but it's not like it's a narrative that's like, wow, I really need to go save some president's daughter.
The narrative is objectively hilarious. It's just a silly narrative.
But if I'm talking about like games that I've like most profoundly stuck with me because of the story and the message, it was probably Death Stranding 1 had the greatest effect on me. Maybe The Last of Us Part 2 is tied.
Oh, Red Dead. I forgot about Red Dead 1 and 2. Sorry, those ones are good too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so back to the game. Act 3, it's called Mael. So we are pivoting into what could have otherwise been like an entirely different book entry into a trilogy. Like they are just wildly swinging in new directions such that each act is like a self-contained story, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I think that they could have pretty easily, if they wanted to, taken this one game and like made it into a trilogy. Like just because there's so much context and like complex, and I'm glad that they didn't, because I like the way that this is presented. But I think that they probably could have if they really wanted to.
Yeah, they had Act 1, Lumiere, Act 2, The Expedition, and Act 3 is now they're back in Lumiere, but like they have this entirely new design. Palettes. It's got like soft desaturated tinted blues, and it's got lavender, and then it's got like percussive like reds that fill the volumetrics of the scene. Like this, like the boldness and willingness for them to just like completely swing in different directions in order to serve the narrative and elevate the themes. It's like these designers have such a sharp eye for color and for design. I love the third act. It has such a specific tone to it.
Yeah, and it's tonally extremely different from the 2 acts that came before.
It's such an epic soundtrack from start to finish. Yeah.
I've been listening to it on repeat since I finished the game. Just like as soon as it ends, I just start it over.
Yeah.
Well, and even from a gameplay perspective, like the game shifts massively, in Act 3, where everything else is pretty streamlined. Like you can kind of go off and do things. Act 3, it's just like, here you go. Like, you've got full reign, go wherever you want, do whatever you want. Like, here's what your final objective is, but here's some side quests, and go explore. And just like, it completely opens up for you at that point in a way that, Act 1 and 2 didn't.
Well, it's interesting that it waits so long to open up like that too, because a lot of JRPGs, they open up fairly early in the game, where it's like, sometimes they'll have different sections of the map where it's like you can't get here yet, or not a high enough level, but it's like you still have kind of area to explore and side quests to do and stuff like that. But like Expedition 33 is pretty linear until like you can go off and grind, and there's some little things to do, but it's mostly like you just go through the story. And then in Act 3, all of the side missions and everything are just backloaded. It's like, all right, and it makes Act 3 feel like a whole different thing, because if you want to, you can just go straight to the end, fight the boss, and be done. Or there's like a million things to do, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So as far as like getting back to Lumiere and having this new design, like what is it evocative of to you? How do you feel as soon as you see this new setting and you realize like everybody's been gommaged, Mael is now white-haired, and it like the streets feel desolate? Like, how do you feel entering this after Act 2?
Sorry, I'm distracted. Tucker's over there enjoying an ice cream cone.
Of course he is.
Yeah, I'm being just a fat kid right now. So my wife went to a drive-thru and got a shake and an ice cream cone for me, so don't mind me.
Is it the custard place?
No, it's Arctic Circle. There's an Arctic
okay.
Circle right by our house, and it gets very dangerous for ice cream.
You know what? I was just talking about Arctic Circle today. There are 71 locations all around like the Midwest area, and it was started here in Salt Lake during the pioneer days in like the early 30s, and they invented fry sauce. And the reason it came up is because my wife went there today with our daughter, and or both of them, and she just said like, how is this place still open? How is it not closed? It's sad, it's desolate, and it feels like the streets of Lumiere, but not in like a romantic
Bring it full circle.
Way to bring it back.
Yeah.
The point is that it's like, I think it's only here because it's like affordable establishment family food, but if you really think about it, all of their food is awful and hard to
That's
find.
why
I
love
haven't.
food desserts.
I haven't had a single good food item from Arctic Circle ever. Their ice cream's good though. Ice cream and shakes.
49-cent soft serve. That used to be the deal
Still?
back as a kid. No, it was.
Oh,
That's the only thing
How could they make money on that?
Once that ended, I was done with that place.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's like Little Caesars, how they have the $5 hot and ready pizzas. And as the years went on, as inflation got more ridiculous, I got more suspicious of those $5 pizzas. It's like, how much of this is actually food?
Well, they're $7.
McDonald's
Still sell this
Got
for $5. Yeah.
They're $7 now.
Yeah, they're more. They finally had to hike their prices.
I'd
but they
rather
were
have
$5 until
quality.
like a couple years ago.
Yes. I felt the same way about Subway and shitified like a decade ago, but like the last time it was good was $5 footlongs and pre-Jared. Now, not as good of a restaurant.
Jared ruined it for everybody.
Jared ruined a lot of things for a lot of people. Mostly sandwiches.
Mostly sandwiches. That was probably his biggest grievance, was the sandwiches. Yeah.
And Lil Kid's life is just secondary to that, of things he ruined. Real fast, we're talking about Little Caesars. One of my favorite jokes. What do Mexicans use to cut their pizza? Little Caesars.
It's incredibly racist, Tucker.
It's incredibly racist and hilarious.
Hey, if you want to cancel Tucker, please get it started.
Yeah.
Nobody
You know,
listens.
Go to the comments
nobody's
and
gonna
cancel
come.
Tucker.
They're going to listen
Yeah.
to this one.
This is our viral moment, is Tucker being racist. Yeah.
Just thumbnail. Wait, Tucker's racist is the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Is Tucker racist?
Got to get those hate
Click to
clicks.
find out.
Yeah.
It's like, I would love for it to be like that I Think You Should Leave skit where he has the hat and it's like they have to bookend the conversation in order to fit it into the
yeah.
record. I would love for it to be like, is Tucker racist? 2 hours later at the very end, Little Caesars, the end.
Yes,
Everybody's
Tucker
like,
is
was that
racist,
it? We got to put like a clickbaitable moment in every episode.
Yeah, my grandma was visiting a few days ago, and my sister-in-law called me out. She's like, Eric, remember that one time you were racist in front of my grandma? And I was like, no, wait. And she reminded me this one time where I went to Cafe Rio, and, you know, they're like walking down the line. It's like, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? And then it's like, do you want enchilada style? And the person that was helping me was Hispanic. And I like, you know, I used to love to do voices and accents and things like that. I was in theater. I practiced that stuff a lot. And so the lady goes, would you like it enchilada style? And back to her without thinking, I go, enchilada. And then I just like my face went white and I just left. I was like, I don't want my
like
burrito
not even
anymore.
Inoffensive.
Yeah. And
I guess at the time it would, yeah.
And she brought it up, and so that one time I was casually, mildly racist.
Yeah, well, that and when you did blackface for, you know, for Halloween, but other than
I
those
never did
two
that.
times.
Yeah. That wasn't me.
Okay, sure, try to gaslight us. I get it.
I honestly, no, you can't say that because I didn't ever do that. This is on the internet. People are going to believe that. That was never a thing I did.
All right, who wants to go create the AI generated image of Eric?
I got pictures. I don't need AI generated.
Oh, you have images of that day? Okay, that's
yeah, of
awesome.
Are we doing a bit? I can't tell. Did I do that? I don't think I did, right?
This is just the gaslight Eric.
I'm like
If you
starting
could be
to doubt now.
gaslighted
I
into
didn't do that, right? Yeah.
If you could be gaslighted into thinking that you did blackface, then something's wrong with your memory.
Well, I was Batman one time. Does that count? I wore a black mask. No?
You should have been good, man.
Should have been a good man. Ooh, we really got off the rails here.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So I had asked. Okay, so tonally going into this, how do you feel that they are like? What tone are they trying to strike? How do you feel inside about like what this tone is establishing?
It felt familiar, but like unsettling. You know, it was kind of like there was some sort of like comfort in being, oh, I remember Lumiere, but it was also like the color shifting and everyone being gone. It made it feel ghostly and strange and uncomfortable. So it was this weird sense of like coming home, but you've grown up and changed. And so when you come home, it's not the same. It kind of felt like that.
Yeah, they were going for like purples and blues, and the purples have been established, at least in Sukhan, as like the disillusionment color, like you're getting lost in a fake world. And it felt immediately eerie, like something is off here and I'm uncomfortable. So it took a romantic location of Lumiere and it tainted it to something that makes you feel uncomfortable. And they haven't established why. They're just setting the stage for when they do explain why you should be uncomfortable. So Mael goes and approaches Verso. She sits on a bench and her hair is white. What do you think her hair being white now represents? Because they didn't really get into that. Her hair is just suddenly white.
Yeah, and I mean, Alicia's hair isn't white, right? And so
No, it's not. Except
I'm not
inside
sure.
the painting.
The painted version of her, yeah, like the
I guess that's true. Well, and the... no, I don't have a theory, so I'm not gonna
It felt
say
like a
anything. I don't know.
marrying of both of her alter egos. It was the in-canvas white-haired version, which was used as like a stark contrast in the black and white, meaning she's devoid of life and warmth because she's a vessel. And that is how her mother has painted her to portray how she thinks of her. And the marrying of that with her Mael alter ego. So it was a fusion of her personalities. And but like as for the color itself and what it represents, it's almost like she's choosing innocence or naivete because she doesn't want to embrace reality, I think.
So I think there's also something with the being a painter / paintress, because all of their hair is white, I believe. Because is normal Renoir's hair white? I'm trying to remember off the top of
It's
my head.
pure white when they see him in this act.
Okay, yeah. So like
But
the
outside
real
of the
Renoir-
painting, it's dark.
Yeah. So I think there's something with being a painter paintress inside the painting. With
It
being
denotes their
white.
painted side. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And if you think about it too, like all the painted versions of the family, you know, like the painted Renoir, when we first meet him, they all refer to him as the white-haired man. Verso, in one of the optional dialogues with CL, mentions that he colors his hair because he's really vain, and so he's got that white streak, but the rest of it is artificial, you know, coloring. Even Minoko, who's, you know, a gestural, but he's covered in like the white hair, the white fur, where the rest of the gesturals don't have that. So everybody that's kind of part of that of the Dysandra family, whether their painted version or their outside version manifesting, they all have the white hair.
So it's like a visual language to denote that they are of one ilk. So in this setting, she's sitting on the bench, she's talking to Verso, and they acknowledge what they are, painted versions of reality, and Verso's visibly upset, and Mael's she decides, hey, it's like, I like the name Mael, I want to go by Mael. And we slowly get the camera at the moment that they're establishing this conversation, and Verso walking away because he's uncomfortable with that. It's because it is subtextually explaining to him that she wants to get lost in this world, and he's uncomfortable with that. Cue slow Dutch angle rotation to establish that this is the new crux of the argument, or the new tension that is going to underlie Act 3 that we have to resolve. So I always love the direction. It's a lot of Dutch angles, but it doesn't matter. It's really, it's like the way that
That's
they
why
use
they
it.
use it.
It's subtle and it works well. And she says some context for us to like look forward to in Clair Obscur next game, the Writers Guild, where she said, if I'd listened to Mama and not trusted the writers, he'd still be alive. So apparently she was, we heard about this earlier, that she had been deceived by the writers at some point, but we didn't know that it was tied to Verso dying, and that she was directly implicated in this betrayal, accidental betrayal. And so it's really because of that her Clea and Aline are so hostile towards her. And that actually, Verso, he died at that moment, so he is intentionally be hostile towards her because of that moment. But we do see that Renoir, she perceives contempt, but we find out throughout this act that he's the only one that loves her as deeply as she needs to be loved.
Yeah.
It just hurts because it's not what she wants. So Mama, she tried to pretend that Mael was the only one affected by the fire, by how she had painted them into the painting. So she, as Alicia's black and white version, burned Noah, like it's like her actual physical self, but in black and white, and more like she wants to push her to the side. She's the only one hit by the fire. Everybody else is painted in their original forms. So her mother definitely does not like her.
Yeah, like that sucks. So when the paintress, Eileen, is painting everybody, everyone's normal except for Mael. Mael has to keep her burned body. She doesn't do anything to fix her or make her better.
Her mother sees her exactly as the disfigured version she is. She's like, yes, you deserve this. It represents what I don't like about you. And that is just gross.
It's a bad thing to get from your mother.
Yeah.
I don't know even that it's necessarily she dislikes her, but I think that there is, because when we find the journal entry from Aline in the manor, she talks about how, the disfigurement, it's the broken mirror. She sees the sorrow reflected tenfold. And I think it's such a visual reminder. She has a hard time being around Alicia, and I don't think it's hatred or resentment. It's that it's this constant reminder of what they lost. And it's like, Verso is dead, and, Alicia is permanently deformed, and she's deformed, but she's alive because, like, Verso's dead because he sacrificed himself to save her. And it's just kind of this, like, I can see this catch-22 where it's like she's grieving her son and grieving her daughter, and, like, it's just hard to, kind of be glad that her daughter's alive when her daughter's appearance is a reminder that her son is dead. And so, like, I think that's kind of what it is, where she distances herself, not out of hatred, but out of just, like, I can't take this. Like, there's a lot there to unpack.
Fair enough.
But at the same time, I think that her painting Alicia in the world that way, because as we'll get to later with, the ending and with Renoir and what he says, he talks about how Aline was the one who saved him when he was getting lost in a painting. That she was the one that pointed out, like, we have limits, we have these kinds of... She was the one that pulled him out. And so I could see it maybe, you know, and again, this is just speculation. I could see it as her being like, I'm going to paint Alicia this way so that I can have my son back, but this will also be a reminder of what the real world is. I won't get so engrossed in this canvas that I forget the real world entirely. You know, painted as kind of a visual cue. It's the, you know, it's the Inception top, you know, it's just kind of a mechanic to remind her, hey, I am in the painting right now, so that she doesn't lose herself. But obviously didn't really work.
Right, so we're at the tree from the beginning of the game, in the prologue, where we had first met Sophie with Gustave, and the tree has all white leaves, and we see, they're like, oh, look, Renoir is coming, and we see the leaves shift to red. And so I think this is really establishing that, you know, we already kind of established that red is denoting the pain and suffering and loss, and right now everything is sort of in this innocent blanket of white, because that's like the direction that Mael's trying to go, and he is bringing that pain back and resurfacing it. And so when he is, because what we find out is that Renoir is repainting the painting. That's why they're back and they're still standing. And so when he is reintroducing that canvas, he is bringing that color back into it, I believe. You know, it's connecting that directly to him. And so then we walk into the town square. We see the curator. In a wisp of red leaves, he transforms into Renoir, and he embraces Mael and establishes a new side. He appreciates, you know, I feel like him embracing her in warmth. It's like we only knew him as a cold, distant, awful person, but here it's like we need to reestablish that he's a good person and means well and actually cares for her.
Yeah, earlier we hear Mael tell Verso, like, oh, the real Papa is a lot more warm and loving than the painted version. And I was immediately skeptical of that. But then I think I think this character, the real Renoir, is so brilliantly written and directed, because yes, he is more warm and loving than this cold, distant death figure we've come to know his painted version. Mm-hmm. But he still has a lot of the characteristics of the painted version. So he still has a lot of the same character motivations and attitude and beliefs. But there's this version, the real version, has this like fatherly warmth and love to him, but in like just the right amount to where it still fits with his character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mael described it as, I think she says to Verso that the paintress painted a rather unflattering portrait of him. And so she took the worst characteristics of Renoir and amplified them. And so that's why the painted version is so aggressive and, you know, we have to do this at all costs kind of a thing. And then the actual Renoir is a little softer. And I really, really like this kind of shift where you think you've come to understand and know a character, and then they're able to flip that perception on its head a little bit. So yeah, this first little interaction with Renoir as like a loving father was awesome for me.
Mm-hmm. He expresses that he appreciates that they exfiltrated Aline from the canvas because that was something he was working on so hard, but the real reveal is that he still embraces the oblivion. For the sake of the living, we must part with the dead. So, you know, Mael, turned out she was a little bit wrong. She thought that he'd just kind of be kumbaya with her new life and what she might want to do. But here it's like we use, you know, music to establish at this moment. It's like, uh-oh, here's tension. We're about to conflict. She declares that this is her home. The tone shifts. She doesn't think she'll lose herself in this world, but he disagrees. So then we cue a bunch of chaos and explosions, and he attempts to gold leaf gomage Verso into oblivion. Mael helps reverse it, and then Eski and Minoko arrive, and they grab him and fly off. Reverso uno.
Yeah. Reverso.
All right.
come on now.
So things escalate so quickly, and the tone is like, oh shoot, he is the real big bad here. We thought it was the paintress, and he was the secondary. It's like, uh-oh, this is getting serious.
Well, at the end of the Act 2, when everyone gamages, that shockwave comes out from the monolith, everyone turns into flower petals, you realize that you're like, oh man, the paintress was the only thing standing between this world and oblivion. And this is the point where you find out that Renoir is oblivion. He wants to destroy this world. And we'll talk more about this kind of when it comes up a little bit later in the story, but he is still a very sympathetic and understandable villain, even though he wants to destroy this world.
Yeah, and I think like just the motivation for destroying the world is, I think, what makes it, I mean, dare I say, endearing. Like, you can really sympathize with him. It's like, this is rooted in reality. This is him caring for his family. He is, he's trying to move on and rebuild his family.
He's trying to keep what they still have, yeah.
Yeah, light spoiler alert, I am fully on Renoir's side by the end of the game. Like, 100%.
Yeah. I am so excited to talk about that because I have flip-flopped ridiculously.
I have too. I go back and forth a lot, but
yeah.
I understand both sides of it, though, because Mael is, Renoir wants to destroy the canvas because he's like, if we don't, Aline's just gonna come back in here. She's never going to leave. She's just so grief-stricken. She's basically like addicted to this place. It's the last piece of Verso's soul. The only way to get her away from it is to destroy it. And Mael's like, well, no, but I hid it. She won't find it. We don't need to destroy this anymore. And he basically tells her, your mother. She's going to find it. And so,
we can never hide Christmas presents from her. It's been ridiculous every year.
And she always finds them. Yeah.
Also, can we talk about the hiding place? Do they just have like a set of catacombs beneath the mansion? Like, it is like in this dungeon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to learn more about this overworld and how big the Desandre family is.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited for the scope to be pulled out to find out how big this world is.
I have lots of thoughts about all that stuff, but I'm going to save them for when we get to that. Yeah.
All right, so back at camp, Mael is struggling to dégommage their expedition, but Verso interjects, it's not about verisimilitude, it's about essence, the truth of who they are. So we've heard this line about essence. There's a young faceless boy at the cliffs that knows Gustav for some reason, because he's seen them all around, he says, but he throws in the line that he never really grasped their essence. The essence is familiar yet different. And so we're learning what essence really is. The essence is like the ability to inject a soul into this painted version. And verisimilitude, or just likeness, is not enough in order for it to qualify as something that is real. And so do you feel like it felt like they were focusing on this line with this moment? What do you think this line matters to the story?
I mean, so for me, just my personal interpretation, it's not like this went to relationships for me. So it's not about what a person or a thing or animal, whatever that looks like. It's not what they look like. It's about that deep inner connection, the essence of that relationship, that essence of that person. And you're seeing their soul. And so, that's where it went for me. Is like she needed to focus on her relationship with them, who she knew they were, their souls, to be able to actually paint them back into existence. Because it's not about what they look like. It's not about symmetry or specific paint strokes. It's about who they are and what that relationship meant.
Yeah. All right. So after this, she returns Ciel and Lune. And
she has one more really great. They have one more really quick line with her and Verso that I think is really great. So her and Verso are talking at that camp, and in that same conversation, Verso talks about how the original fracture was caused by Renoir and Eileen, the paintress, battling, and that if she goes up against Renoir, it could potentially cause another fracture with her stuck inside the monolith. And so Mael expresses, I don't know about that, blah, 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 blah. And then Verso claps back with this awesome line that says, oh, shoot, where'd it go? Our whole world carries the burden of your family's grief. And he just is like, you can tell that Verso is like, painting Verso is like, we need to figure this out. We need to figure out a way to end this or change it, because everyone in this world is suffering because your family can't get their crap together. So
yeah, and
and
this
that
is
like
like
that
an expression of of what dysfunctional and this grief can do. It's not just about affecting yourself. It's also not just affecting the ones you directly know. It's like that will affect everybody that you interact with, because it's just a burden that that everybody feels when they see you and talk to you, and the resources that you drain from people from being that kind of albatross. I think that is a great a representation of what sitting with grief can do if you don't move on.
Yeah.
So yeah, she did homages Ciel and Lune, and Lune is infuriated about Verso's lies because all he's ever done is lie, and we established that his character journey isn't about becoming a truth teller all of a sudden. I guess he kind of becomes a truth teller at the end. He lays some hard truths, depending on how you choose to go. But, so, yeah, we established we need Chroma. The expeditioners hold on to Chroma out in the field. They don't gomage. So, when they are killed with Nevrons, or killed by Nevrons. So, how does that work, mechanically? Why did they get a hold on to their Chroma?
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding, like Clair, when she made the Nevrons, that was her whole entire plan. That's what she painted them for, was to not allow Chroma to return to Aline.
To weaken the
tip
paintress.
Yes. Tip the tables in Renoir's favor, because Renoir was not as good as a painter as Aline.
Right. So, because of that, she's able to summon like a dark fantasy ghost army, a la, I don't know, Lord of the Rings or something like that.
Yep.
It's what everybody's thinking of. I love a good ghost army. It's also in Thor Ragnarok. They have a... Isn't it a ghost? No, is it a ghost army? What is it?
Like the
It's
army of the
army.
undead, yeah.
Yeah.
In Ragnarok?
I love a good undead army.
I don't remember that. I haven't seen that movie in a minute, though.
Well, it was just the best
I'm sure
one.
it happened. I haven't seen it in a while. Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of which, Thor Ragnarok. I mean, no. What's the fourth one? Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder.
It's like,
That game,
okay.
That movie is farts.
It's farts.
Okay.
It has like amazing visuals. It's got a
so
couple of
mad
good
at
laughs.
that movie.
It jumped the shark so hard,
Okay, it has its flaws, but it is a fun movie.
I'm with.
and it's
I'm with-
Christian Bale.
I'm with
the most.
Tucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has fun moments. It is a largely dull movie with fun moments. That's how
They
I feel
just
about it.
shit all over like Natalie Portman's character. It just didn't feel like it was thought out, and they undercut so much of like the real meaningful moments that could have established depth for Thor by undercutting it with bathos in order to get a cheap laugh. It's like, no, this is actually painful. We should be able to sit with it and make it mean something.
I
But
feel
they kept
like-
undercutting it.
I feel like Ragnarok does that as well. I think that was just a Taika Waititi thing where
Yeah, but that like
he didn't
that
let.
felt intentional.
Yeah,
You know?
and it. I
This
it's-
felt like he didn't trust himself to do serious stuff, which he
it's-
can do.
Right. He just did it in both, I think, in Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, where instead of giving an emotional moment to breathe, he had to immediately throw a punchline in. And, so like that's one of my very few qualms with Ragnarok. And I feel like because that was so successful, they just cranked everything to
Kinda doubled
11,
down. Yeah.
and so,
Learn the wrong lessons.
yeah, so
Moderation.
while I still had a lot of fun with Love and Thunder, I understand that a lot of people really hated it, but I thought it was fun. But I also think that there are a lot of flaws with it.
I think you just take out Natalie Portman 100%, and it could have been a fantastic... And, like, a couple of the craziest things, like him doing the splits at the beginning.
I was mostly just bummed about the wasted potential of Christian Bale because
That's what I was going to say. One of the coolest
fantastic.
potentials for a villain, and they just, like, it just didn't live up to his potential.
And also just Gore himself is a great villain, like Constantine
Yeah.
villain.
Yeah.
They could have done so much more with that.
So I think
so
that
interesting.
I think there was potential with what Natalie Portman was doing. Like I like the story that they were telling with it. I just think that the execution was bad.
Yeah.
And like I know it's like fundamentally crucial to the structure of the story to have her. It's just annoying because like his character journey, spoilers, is to go from from wanting the love of her to needing the love and fulfillment of being a father. That is a beautiful character journey. It was just undercut by like a lot of bad decisions in the middle. All right, so the cycle we need to break wasn't the gomage, it was your family cycle of grief. So love paralleling that. I wouldn't say that the gomage is necessarily like a metaphor for the cycle of grief. It's just reusing the word cycle itself in order to put it in stark contrast with the grief of that versus the grief of what you're dealing with. Yeah, so Lune challenges Verso's lies. You would have chosen the expedition over your mother. And yeah, so I love that we're establishing Lune and CL have acted as fantastic foils in this story to be able to tell us how far off the mark Mael and Verso are from what they need to be. And so Lune putting in contrast of like what's more important. No, wait. Yeah, I think I got that right. Is he the one that says he would have chosen the expedition over her mother, or was that backwards? Or does he say that to her?
I
don't remember specifically.
Yeah,
she's all about the mission. She would have saved the mission.
Well,
and he's like,
yeah.
well, this is a false dichotomy,
Yeah.
not an either or. If you talk to us, other choices would have existed, and we could have worked together. And then I love the foil that CL provides of like, yeah, I understand. I would have done the same thing as you. I think it was the wrong and stupid decision, but because you did it, because you thought it was right, that's what matters. That's interesting.
Yeah, I really like a lot of what CL says that, where she's like, like he goes up to apologize to her and she's like, save it. It doesn't matter. Like everything I thought about this world was wrong. And that means that death isn't death anymore. And, she understands Verso.
Badass way to look at her existence.
Yeah, I really like CL.
And I don't know what it is. Like, something about just, like, as you progress and take CL's relationship level to the maximum, like, her story just really was impactful for me. Like, I felt that one a lot. Like, I really loved as she finally, kind of like peels back the layers and shares her dark and personal story, because they kind of bantered back and forth about like, well, what's dark and personal, like sharing the stories and learning hers really was just, I don't know, like for me, it really just, that was the punch. That was the one that carried the most weight, I felt like, of all the side characters.
All right. So here they are establishing a kind of argument of like what matters more, the collective or the individual, as far as where your morality is defined and how you will make decisions. And so Lune is saying the collective matters more. You put them above yourself, which is the lesson that Gustave learned when he decided to pass the torch and sacrifice himself instead of being selfish. And then Lune or CL is like, no, the individual matters. As long as you think you're doing what's right, you can be exculpated for any bad decisions that you make. And I don't know, how do you align? Because I think having a superior like moral compass is far more important, and I can rationalize doing anything to protect like family over other, like a collective of people. I think anybody in that situation with a family would feel the same. You have to kind of be propagandized to feel otherwise.
Yeah, I think we had a similar conversation when we did The Last of Us. Particularly, I think that when protecting your family, for fathers, for us as fathers in particular, it feels very much like, that's where we go. I'm protecting my family above all else.
Yeah. All right, so then we do that montage of returning Chroma to expeditioners. We get the Revenant army, and we're building up energy here, and this reversal of power, this power fantasy that we're getting ready for in Act 3 to go take down Renoir. It's feeling powerful. It's climactic. Y'all probably ran and did side quests, and those are fundamentally important to understanding the decisions in the final act. But it is so hard to derail yourself from the energy that's building right here to go straight to the
really
end.
psych you up, and then it's like, oh yeah, I should probably go do those side quests.
And I think that energy and I think that's why the third Axon is an optional side quest, because I feel like while it's central and really important to the story, I do feel like it almost kind of throws off the momentum that it's built there, just kind of the rhythm.
They wanted to give the player choice.
Yeah. So,
which is
I think
insane,
they expect
the third Axon is so important.
So important.
I think
you
they
have to play the third Axon.
I think they intentionally do this so that you play it twice, because if you play it once because you're feeling this energy, they have two endings. They know everybody's going to play two endings. If you do this, you're going to feel one way. If you go off and do the side missions and then go to the ending, you might feel a different way. And so they wanted to give both perspectives and for you to be in both headspaces to feel like if you just went here to the ending and then played both endings, it wouldn't feel the same as having both contexts individually before playing the ending. So I don't know. I think it's really cool how they did it. I also really liked that you get 25 hours into the game and it's the last mission is an hour and a half. These acts are so unpredictable. I thought, is there going to be another 5 to 8 hours of game? And it's no, it's just all climax from here.
They did a Death Stranding where Act 3 is 12 hours, and then the other ones it's bam, bam, bam. This one's 10 minutes. This one's 2 hours.
That one act was 20 hours.
Looking at my notes, there's one more thing before moving on from the camp that I wanted to. The conversation between Verso and Minoko, because everybody's mad still at Verso for every
I have it written down. It's amazing.
Yeah, and Minoko basically just kind of gives him an "I told you so," and through their discussion, Verso mentions that he's planning on doing his best to earn back the trust of everyone on the team.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of an important thing to position him at the beginning of Act 3 versus where he is at the end of Act 3.
Yeah. SKA also says he can be sad or bad or even rad, but never mad. Bad things happen when we get mad. So also very important.
Very, yes.
Yeah. I feel inspired by SKA's nonsense.
SKA is just the best.
He really is. All right, so then the music rips and then guitar shreds and we get ridiculous piano solos in this what has to be the greatest song of the entire soundtrack, right? It's a combination of so many different things and styles and ideas to make you feel like it's an epic climactic fantasy showdown. You also get to understand that we see a luminous light blue version of the faceless boy playing the piano, so we know it's Verso. And so right before that moment we are fighting a character when it's playing that piano solo, and then we put it in context of it being Verso as a boy, and it's these are character driven music choices and leitmotifs that are really informing us about how to feel every act of this journey from the start of Lumiere up until the Eiffel Tower, because everything has to finish at the Eiffel Tower.
Because France.
Yeah. In France.
That's where you're going to finish.
Right. Did y'all watch the Olympics in France? And it was really fun to watch the bike race and see them end at the Eiffel Tower and stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah, with the beach volleyball sand pits right at the foot of the Eiffel Tower, and
yeah, it's a very powerful imagery. So I as far as visuals and being invested in the Olympics, that was one of my favorite ones as far landscape and stuff. Like, it really worked there. Speaking of which, I went to Switzerland, and they have like the Museum de l'Olympique, or whatever, de Olympique, I don't know. But they have the Olympic Museum because it's the neutral country by which a lot of these things start, or they start the torch to pass it around. And it's in a place, I shit you not, it's called Douchy. And so I went to like a douchey restaurant. I had a douchey omelet, and like I was just
Met some
loving
douchey people.
Right at home.
Exactly. It was so funny. All right, so we enter the manor and we see there's
wait,
a
wait,
theater.
wait. We need
oh,
to
well,
like
go on.
we need to do the side missions first, right? The character missions before we go back to
Well,
the
I was
end?
gonna. Yes, I don't have it written in that order, so go ahead.
Well, I mean, but they happen before we go back to Lumiere, right?
They do, but that's just I hadn't played them.
Well, I didn't. I don't want to. I'm killing your momentum, but I feel like we have to at least talk about the
It's just
axon
like the
before
side
we go
missions
to.
in Expedition 33.
Right. Well, but I feel like we have to at least talk about the third axon to give context
Okay,
for what
go
happens.
for
in
it. Third axon.
Well, I mean, all right. Well, so you go fight the third axon. I don't know. Someone help me out.
She who grasps the sky, the Reacher.
Yeah.
It's set in a vertical set piece with wooden scaffolding and creative construction and devices demonstrating Renoir's perspective of Mael's potential, or Lycia's potential. So everything's riddled in metaphor, many layers to it. What else did you notice visually that stood out that this could represent?
One of the things that I really liked that I didn't think of the first, like it didn't stand out to me until this playthrough. But there's a lot of axons throughout that have like, hammers and pliers and nails and things like that. And I think it's Lune that asks,
To destroy your
What are
build.
they doing?
yeah, are they helping to build it, or are they pulling it down? And they mentioned that they're jealous. The Neverons are jealous of the axon that's continually getting taller and reaching towards the sky, and they want to destroy her work and pull her back down to the ground. And Lune asks if that's part of the parable, and Mael kind of sighs and says everything is. And what I kind of realized, like, we know that the Neverons were created by Clair. And this...
The ones out in the field, like in the continent, but the ones revolving around the axons were
That's
created
true.
by Renoir.
Yeah, okay, that's true, actually.
We learned that when we're in Lumiere.
Lumiere, yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, then that
So
throws
these
off
were
my
created. Yeah. So no,
messed
to
it
your
up,
point
yeah.
though. So these Neverons, as created by Renoir, are demonstrating what he thinks are other people or herself holding herself down from reaching her potential. So she needs to get out of her own way, and other people are jealous of her talent and holding her down as well. We learn that Clair is very jealous of her talent. So these Neverons represent, these same creatures that Clair has created out in the continent, but he is then repurposing Gestrals or Neverons as like a point of weight to hold her back.
Yeah, and my notes, because again I hadn't gotten to Lumiere when I did this, was just like, oh yeah, she created the Neverons, so Clair's the one she's always trying to undercut Mael. But no, I think your explanation actually makes a lot more sense.
Right, and he also says the Neverons here are jealous of Alicia's work and wish to destroy her and pull her back to the ground. So just to ground her because you're too good at what you do and I'm jealous of it, I need to stop it. So that is representative of Clair.
And it's also interesting because there's the one Neveron that is the opposite. That is building things, trying to lift it up like fly, which I think represents Renoir here.
It's Renoir, yeah.
So he's got a top hat.
Cartoonishly,
That's
yes,
it.
because
That's
the fading man has a top hat, which
That's right.
is Renoir. So this guy has a top hat too, and he's cartoonish. For some reason, they have giant,
Also,
blocks
my
of
favorite
grass
Neveron design
heads.
by far. It's like fighting the most adorable. It's like Sackboy mixed with the Scarecrow.
It's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and they make my favorite noises. And they are so fun when you like are dodging through them and they're chasing you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And the nice one though, he offers mechanical wings to Mael to be able to reach where she's trying to go, and she's like, no, I have vertigo, remember? And the workshopper is disappointed. So I like how she is almost intentionally misreading this representation of Renoir, and also throughout this entire section she keeps throwing in subtext between her and other expeditioners of like her not understanding that what Renoir is trying to do is trying to help her and that he loves her. She's misreading it as you're holding me back and you don't love me and you don't trust me.
Yes, exactly that. I love that she's, well, for example, this huge, like very tall monument, and she has vertigo. And so she's like, of course, Papa would, paint something that's huge and tall when he knows that I have vertigo. Like, how dare he? It's, not how dare he, but like, of course he would do that to, just to mess with me because he doesn't like me or whatever. And, but then she kind of is expressing this frustration, and she's like, I'm just messing everything up and I'm not good at this thing that Papa wants me to do. And then Verso just goes, just look around. He just wants you to fly. And it was this moment of like, he just loves her and wants the best for her. And he's like, and as a human, as an imperfect person, he's not perfect at showing that and doing that, but that's what he wants.
Yeah, I like that Verso points out, he's like, you're the actual favorite. Like, Alicia was his actual favorite, because she had said that Clea was the favorite, and then Verso could always make him laugh, and he was like, and then there's you, the actual favorite that Papa called his hidden star.
Yes.
And just
adorable.
Really, but yeah, I love that line, like you said, Eric, that he just wants you to fly. Like, it completely changes the meaning in that moment where, and it helps to reinforce this idea that Renoir isn't this cold and heartless and evil guy. He is a caring father. He is a lot more warm than the painted version that we saw through the first two acts.
Just trying to do what he feels like is right for his family. He's trying to save his family.
You can misread it as him being selfish until like you're here and you understand like, no, he genuinely means what he's saying. He's trying to save her life. And she is self-sabotaging herself and her understanding of and misreading everything she's saying because she's shy and self-conscious, and too much so to be able to see how much he means to her. At the summit, we find the painted Alicia, and and she ignores Mael at first. Verso returns the letter that she gave him earlier, and she just callously dropped it. So just kind of, physically acting out how since she doesn't have words, she's using a lot of body language and facial acting to denote her state of mind right now, and I think it's well acted, if not because it's subtle. Suddenly I thought somebody was about to think. So we enter a fourth. So we enter a 4:3 black and white freeze frame moment for all the characters, expeditioners except Mael and Alicia. Mael picks up the mask. She says she blames us, doesn't she? You didn't deserve that. So looking at the mask, she starts thinking of and talking about their mother. And so that is, in my opinion, because the mask represents the shame that Alicia decided to feel because of the grief and turmoil that her mother is putting her through. And so this mask is symbolic of her wanting to hide the part of her she hates that her mother has inflicted the weight of shame on. So then painted Alicia summons the structure behind them and brings her inside to see another version of them, a whitened porcelain-faced Axon with a fractured face and one eye hole, and her hair ascending to its full length and height. So everything's a metaphor.
Super Saiyan.
Yeah. One eye hole, though. Didn't we see that in Sichen? We saw a bunch of creatures with a single eye hole. So was that supposed to represent,
right in the center, yeah.
Was that supposed to represent these creatures?
Yeah. Renoir is just bad at eyes, yeah.
Yes. The one eye hole, though, is because Alicia has one eye. And so I didn't know if, the ones in Sichen were also representing this as a Nevron associated with Aline, and I don't know, and she was like putting it into unreality. She's
and I'd have to
deceiving them.
look again, but I think that the enemies in Celine look like they are. It's like a one eye, but it looks like a mask over their face.
It is
like a wooden.
But
thing.
so this one kind of looks like that too. It's just in a different
Okay.
location, and this one has the scars and stuff on it.
Okay.
All right, so Mael asks, "You like being here, don't you?" with her, and then we get the camera panning around her back, which denotes a shift in tone and power. And Alicia pulls out her rapier as she summons it. Why at this point is it that she decides what you just said is the reason that I need to fight you and stop you?
Well, it felt like I didn't feel like it was like a I have to stop you kind of a thing. It seemed like they were talking and they both knew that this is where it was going to end. Like Painted Alicia knew why real world Alicia was here. And so they were like having this moment where they were kind of commiserating together, but they knew that this is where it was going to end up, that they would have to fight each other. And it almost felt like all right, let's prove to each other that this is the thing that needs to happen. Like it just kind of felt like an inevitable, like that's what was going to happen no matter what. It didn't feel like she was like, all right, I have to stop you now. That's how it felt to me anyways.
To me, it kind of called back to the very beginning of the game, when you're playing as Gustave. There's a couple of times in Lumiere where Mael is like, let's have a duel. Like, let's make sure that, she teaches you first, like, kind of just the basics of combat, but then even, at the, like, kind of the night before celebration for the expedition, she's like, let's have another duel. Like, and it's just kind of her thing, almost, she just draws the sword and it's like, hey, let's have a duel. And that's kind of what it felt like to me, is it didn't feel like there was malice. It felt like it was kind of a, let's just have a duel. Like, this is, let's try our skills. It felt very cordial almost to me, where it was like, I've welcomed you in. This is where I like to be. This is where I'm comfortable. And even, potentially, like, there's something here that I want to communicate to you, that I think Mael learns after after they finish their duel. Because it kind of looks like they share a smile after that fight. They put their weapons away. They both kind of have a smile. And Mael looks at the Axon again and says, I guess this represents his hope for us. Then Alicia kind of gives her another look, and Mael says, well, for me then. And so, like, to me, I didn't feel like there was any kind of negative emotions in that fight. I felt like it was more just kind of almost sporting, like, just like pushing each other to be better. Like, it was more of a supportive fight, I guess, for lack of better words.
Friend battle.
Yeah. Like, it felt like, iron sharpens iron, and less of I'm going to stop you, or, this is the end for you. Like, only one of us leaves here alive, kind of a thing. Because they both exit
2 men enter
together.
one. Yeah, this is a battle. This is a Thunderdome situation. Now, well, for me, I read it as like it's a Highlander situation. There can only be one, and Mael goes into this situation knowing she's going to take her down because she knew she was at the summit, and she finds out that the other creature was the real Axon, but they're still having this battle. And so if you take conversations as like everybody really just talking about themselves, what she's saying here is, you like being here, don't you, with her. She said it's like an emphasis on being here. She's trying to like probe into like, how do you feel about being in the place that I want to be, which is here in the canvas forever. And at this moment, Alicia like catches on. It's like, you're not asking me if I like being here. You are you're really saying that it is likable to be here and you're going to take my place. And I understand this now because of what you just said. It's like, you're coming for me. I'm ready to fight you and and just get this over with instead of dealing with all this pretext and subterfuge.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the Lundy camp here, just based on what happens after. Like, after this fight, Mael gomages Alicia.
Alicia. Yeah.
Yeah, as a favor. Alicia wants to go. Alicia feels a lot the same as Verso. She's tired. She's sick of the life she has here because of the way that she was painted. And
Well, then she should have just laid down on the ground and allowed Mael to stab her.
That doesn't make it fun
Why
for gaming.
do the fight first?
Yeah.
Because it's a video game, and we
I
have
was
to
going to
fight.
say, because it's
I
a
just-
video game.
I don't
there needs
feel
to
like
be a
it-
fight. Yeah.
I don't know. I just like they're so good at storytelling up to this point for her to do something that doesn't serve the narrative instead of just like serving little narrative dissonance. Like it's just, it feels like it
Well,
has to
so-
be because she changes her mind because of the fight. Because these fights, every point of the story has been an inflection of character conflict that has to be resolved. At the end of the fight, the conflict is resolved. She decides to move on, and they become aligned. But
I
I'd have
also
to watch it
Yeah,
again.
Mael tells Verso that she owes Alicia that. She owed Alicia to gomage her.
she wants
To
to
take away her life and her pain.
Yeah, and before they even go, like when you have the conversation to give you this side quest, she says she wants to go talk to her to understand why her mother gave her the scars and just try to understand better. And Verso is like, don't go see her. Like, that's only going to mess with her head. Like, Verso is trying to protect her. Like, he's very protective of her. But Mael's like, look, I owe this to her. I owe it to her to go see her, to go understand her. And I think as well, like, to show that Mael had no ill intent and Mael wasn't like, going there to kill her. When, she, like, they dismiss the Axon, she says, go claim your piece of sky. And then the color returns, and Mael says, we both deserve to fly. Let me give you a new beginning. And she reaches out, and before she gomages her or anything, Alicia actually speaks and says, send me to my family. And what I interpreted that as this time is Mael was going to repaint her with a whole face. She was going to take away the scars. And she's the one that changes when Alicia asks her to remove her.
So I'm ready to be done.
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I'll just agree to disagree. That's fine. I think that personally, I just stand with like, I think Alicia didn't want this until the fight ended, and she's like, I accept my fate. I'm ready to move on. But she does want it in a painful, I'm ready, because Alicia's whole thing is like mourning and not being willing to move on. And this was Alicia's self accepting it, and then Mael doing what is, it's going to really matter in the third act that she does this. But anyway, she says, yeah, I love, send me to my family. They reserve no dialogue for her up until this moment, so it hits that much harder, and it's through strained voice. And so you really feel the pain of this character. It's like, you know what, I'm done here. I need to go back to my family, which is the opposite of what Mael is, her arc and what she's trying to accomplish. And so it's the irony here of like, it's like you're making the opposite choice of what you make for yourself at the end. And that is like, it actually, like, it solidifies the choice that I had already made. But after seeing this, I was like, no, you are straight up a liar, and you're doing this mendaciously in order to survive. But why does this moment matter? Because Verso sees this. Mael kind of looks down at her callously after she had or just like, she doesn't seem to register any pain from having gomaged her. It's like, and while Verso is in pain, she's just kind of like callously staring over him mourning. But this, as an inflection point between the two characters, proves that Mael isn't about family and being there with Verso. She's about surviving and escaping the real world. And so this is like, both of their character arcs come to a head. We lock in their final decisions, in my opinion, about what they're going to do. And this informs that, like, Mael would gladly gomage Verso to stay there, because she's not there for Verso, she's there for herself. That's important. we have to play this for the ending to matter.
Yeah, this is the part where up till this point, like I've been 100% like Mael is the main character, and at this point when this happens and she gomages Alicia and looks sort of coldly, and Verso is very upset, and even back at camp Verso kind of loses it at Mael and says, "You painters, you just do what you want, you don't care how it affects the rest of us." He's just like yelling at her, and this is the moment where I feel like for the first time we saw Alicia / Mael as a paintress and not as like an expeditioner, and it's just kind of is a clever way to sneakily show that these painters in their own painted worlds are godlike beings that, you know, no more register human life than they would like an ant. And I feel like you get that even more towards the very end of the game with some of the choices that Mael makes. So and it's hard to watch this kind of transformation happen in Mael because I really love her character, and I still do kind of towards the end of the game as well. But her true nature is so different from what I perceived it as at the beginning.
I love
this revealed character. You're right. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, I was going to say I love that their conversation back at the camp about this, because, you know, Verso's just distraught. You know, he's like, "You didn't give me a chance to say goodbye. Like, you know, you didn't give me a chance to try to talk her out of it." And Mael is insistent. She's like, "She wanted me to do this. Like, she asked me to do this. Like, I didn't do anything wrong." And they kind of keep debating. And you start to see it's, you know, Mael kind of reminds you that she's 16 years old. Because, you know, Verso is like, "I could have tried to talk her out of her decision. She was the last of my family. I have nobody left now." And Mael says she doesn't understand because Verso was ready when they set painted Renoir free. She was like, "This doesn't make sense to me. Like, you were fine when it was him. Why is this different?" And he just says, "I wasn't ready." And, you know, like, so she's kind of just like assuming because she's a child, you know, she's 16 and she's like, "Oh, well, we killed his father, that was fine, so he'll be fine if I like mercifully let his sister go." And eventually she does admit where she's like, "Look, I should have given you the chance to say goodbye." Like, you know, like she doesn't regret doing what she did, but she's like, "You're right, I should have given you the chance to say goodbye before I, you know, gomaged her." And Verso then just says, "At least she's free now."
Whew. Lots of heavy stuff happening in Act 3.
Yeah.
All right, so back at Lumiere, I'm
done derailing Shan's nice ramp up and flow.
I just written it out of order. You're right; it was the right thing to do. It's just not because I had like finished it and then I went and found the other footage and wrote about it. So anyway, so we're back at the Eiffel Tower where all climaxes in France take place, and we fight the Création, which means creation. And so Création is a quadruped built from the bodies of dead expeditioners, metaphorically embodies... Yeah, it embodies the expedition's human cost in the way grief-driven creation assembles meaning from loss, turning sacrifice into a grotesque artwork. It's also the elements that we saw in the atelier when we see Renoir and Aline in the canvas, but it's in gold, so now we know what that thing was. It was a grotesque representation of grief and loss.
As we're running to this fight, because it's like kind of in the gardens, I think Tucker, it looks like you probably noticed the same thing that I did, where I don't know why, like it stood out to me this time, and I was like, I tried to think of what it could possibly mean, but as you get to those gardens, Gustave's theme is what starts playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Gustav, it was one of those things where when I noticed that, I was like, why would it be this? And I don't have an answer. I couldn't think of anything other than it just sounds cool. And it just makes it fun.
It's an amazing medley.
Yeah, you retrace your initial steps in the beginning of the game as you're playing Gustave, as you're running on that same rooftop over.
Mm-hmm. down to
Yeah.
the yeah.
Which, yeah, I think hits that JRPG trope just a little bit more subtly of, oh, you revisit all these areas to kind of make things full circle.
Well, you also like what the music is trying to establish here in this medley is to be able to take you through this redux version of all the emotional states that you have gone on during this narrative so that you have full context. You don't even know what's happening. It's subconscious. But what they are doing is reminding you in your soul of the weight of this journey and what has happened so that you have full context when you get to the battle of which decision you're going to make. So the music is just informing you what to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's also this, like, it reminds you of Gustav and how much love Mael had for Gustav and how tragic
Exactly.
that loss was. So where it's like, it kind of lifts Mael's decision up a little bit more.
It's exactly the point. It's
yeah.
a persuasive essay essentially of like,
Yeah.
because really the music is purely emotional. So you are like your brain and your body is like physiologically interpreting the calculus of like which themes had the most emotional resonance with you during the story. And so if you really cared about Gustav and you hear Gustav's music and you don't even realize it's him, it's just like this leitmotif coming back into the music and it starts trying, you're like, this makes me remember Gustav for some reason. Like the parts of the music that you subconsciously feel the most weight for helps balance your decision when you get to the end. Like this is a masterpiece of a third act.
It's just, yeah, artfully like getting you in the right headspace to make the choices you're going to make.
Because we also have like Verso's music with the piano, and so it's like it's kind of playing all these character themes layered on top of each other.
Yeah, and like you run into Kid Verso playing the piano in the opera hall, and then it's like, oh, this is
You
what
feel a
Verso
little bit of
really
tragedy.
wanted to do. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and we're keeping fake Verso alive and not allowing him to actually move on. So yeah, it's really cool. Just this very subtle running through this area to prop up each choice at the end.
It's
Brilliant.
so well told. It's just this is so obviously game of the year. It's so obvious.
I like, if anything else wins, I will riot in the streets by myself. I'll kick open my front door and I'll
Naked.
start breaking things.
I'll fly to New.
It so completely deserves it that I will be furious if anything else wins.
Yeah. Yeah, so we run into Renoir. He says, life keeps forcing cruel choices. We do what we must. He doesn't want to, but he has to do this. So it's sort of like I might lose you, but I have to because I have to save you because I love you more than it matters to keep you as my relationship. And we also have just these like lines that keep coming back. We make choices we can never take back. Oh, yeah. Sorry, that's a different line there. But it's also because they're establishing part of the argument for the final fight when Verso adopts this.
I just love this callback of real Renoir calling back painted Renoir's fight because it's a very, very similar sentiment. I don't know if it's word for word, but it's like this life keeps making
Keeps forcing cruel choices. Yeah.
Of course, in cruel choices like I will fight you.
I will fight you.
Well, and it's like I love the Renoir is desperate. It's like in desperation he's like, please, I don't want to do this. Just come home. But then Mael's like, no, I'm going to stay here. And he's like, okay, well, this needs to happen, and so I'm going to do it. But it's like it's the pleading of a father to his daughter, like, please make the right choice. And then when what I think is the right choice, what Renoir thinks is the right choice, and then when she says no, he's like, okay, well, I'm going to make you then, kind of a thing. So
One of the things
which as a parent is understandable sometimes. Where you're like,
She's
will
also
you just do the right
16.
thing? Like,
She's not 18 yet.
yeah.
One of the other things that I really like leading up to this is that CL and Lune kind of back her up, and CL says, hey, look, grief causes people to act irrationally. Lune says, hey, like as a parent, you teach your children and you kind of inform them, but you can't set the boundaries of their lives. And, so they kind of are backing up Mael and being like, you got to back off, dude. And I love the line that he said where he says your friends speak truth and it changes nothing. Like, you know, like and
yeah, you're right, but I still got to do this.
Yeah. Well, and it's just your friends speak truth and like to me, like I thought the and was such a big thing. You know, they speak truth and it changes nothing. Like, you know, yes, they're right, and I'm not going to fight that. And it's not a but, it's an and. Things are staying the same, regardless. You know, like they're speaking the truth. That doesn't discount anything that I've said.
Yeah, he, as the patriarch of the family, he fundamentally has to make a stand to save her life, even against her will, especially because she's 16. Like, not literally, it's been 67
It's the Little
years.
Mermaid argument all over again. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was, Lune, more specifically, she says, like, the choices of parents leave indelible marks upon their children, but ultimately the voices in their own heads have to be their own. But guess what? She's not really an adult, so he gets to make the decision. There's a few parts of the argument. That's one argument. It's the same argument I had for The Last of Us, where it's like, you know what? As a father figure and her not being an adult, yeah, he gets to step in and make this decision. Especially while she was in a grief-ridden state where she can't make a rational decision. She's literally in trauma. Yeah. So,
well, and Renoir is just pleading with her, and then right before the battle starts, Mael lashes out and she goes, "You treat me as if I'm still 5," and he interrupts her. I treat you as if the shadow from the worst day of our lives is going to suffocate you and take you away from us too. Enough. I said enough. And then they fight. And it's just like, also, Renoir my favorite character, you guys? Like, he is a total
his acting
badass.
Is the best.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Andy Serkis it blows that line out of the water. Yeah.
He's so good.
You know what gravitas sounds like, right? Greetings, all.
I freaking just, oh my gosh. Renoir towards the beginning of the game is very enigmatic and very cool, but real Renoir, like real world Renoir, I love him. Every word out of his mouth has me hanging, just like sitting on the edge of my seat, waiting in bated breath. I can't get enough of this guy. He's fantastic.
Yeah, all I want in life is a movie made out of this game and just have Pierce Brosnan play Renoir.
So as I was poking around on the internet earlier today, I saw a thing that said that they have secured movie rights. I don't know if that's true. I did no research into it, but I saw a thing. So
I've seen that as well.
If they got the movie rights to Split Fiction, then it makes sense to secure them for Expedition 33.
I mean, cross my fingers. I'd like to, because this is a thing. Like I have a lot of people in my life that don't play video games, and I'm trying to like explain to them why Expedition 33 is so amazing. But I know that they'll never experience this story because they don't play video games. Like I was explaining it to my wife, and I was like, I wish that you could just like, I want you to play this, but I know that you won't play it, and you wouldn't enjoy it if you did, because you don't like video games the way I do. But like, it's such a compelling story, and I wonder if it would work as well in a movie, but I want them to try, because I want more people to experience this story.
I tried to watch like the full gameplay video of Death Stranding 1 with Heather and my wife, and like we got through
10 hours long. Yeah.
We got through the prologue, and I was like trying to explain as I went like how I thought it was so beautiful. I was like, maybe we could just do like one chapter every week or something and get through this as like a sort of television series. It did not continue.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Savannah to play Expedition 33. She played Hogwarts Legacy, loved Hogwarts Legacy. So yeah, if I can get her to play this game, I'm gonna do it.
Well, yeah. Liz did the same, Hogwarts Legacy, but I think that's the only game that she's played before.
The only video game
since
all
Roller
wives
Coaster
have ever
Tycoon.
played.
Yeah.
I mean, that and Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
No, I can't even get her to play Animal Crossing. She'll play Mario Kart and Mario Party and stuff like that with me, but and then Hogwarts Legacy, and then she would always have me do the puzzles because she had a hard time like moving the camera and moving her character at the same time. She's adorable.
Yeah. But back to like his acting here, it's like his argument hasn't changed. He's been making the argument the entire time, but for some reason, because of the way he emotes during this delivery, it's like, oh wait, no, I get it now. You persuaded me. It was like, because it's not about logos, right? Like it's about pathos, and how does this resonate with you emotionally? And it's like, you know what? He delivered the hell out of that line. I'm on his side now.
He's a desperate father trying to heal his family by whatever means necessary.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and so Mael, she wants to disappear and here forever because Verso died because of her, and she doesn't know how to get from that to joy. She doesn't know the journey on how to heal, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have to go through it. Like, that's one of, again, we have to save these arguments, but it's like, just because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean that you don't have to do it. But shelf that argument. Yeah, so where are we? So it's time to
the battle
fight.
starts, and
Yes.
it's the coolest battle ever.
Red petals fill the earth because, again, red petals are connected to Renoir, and he turns into the curator. He's put on this character facade. Why does he fight as the curator instead of as Renoir himself?
I felt like he was trying to detach himself a little bit from the fight because he's fighting his daughter. Like, it just felt like he was trying to have one degree of separation from this, so that at the very least that Mael wouldn't have to draw her sword on her father.
Also, with the sword that he uses, it just looks super badass. Because,
also he
It's
looks
just- it's
super
so cool.
Yeah, 'cause,
That's the best reason.
the sword, like, when you fight the paintress, she's got, like, just the big paintbrush that she beats you with. Renoir's sword, it's the paintbrush, like, flipped over. So, like, you know, he's got, at the bottom, is where the bristles and everything are, but then it comes out in this long blade where, like, it's just fragments that are all kind of floating in a blade shape. And it's just super cool.
I want action figures or figurines of every character in this game, and I want it yesterday. I would buy all of them. I can't even tell. I've been
giant,
I want it.
Giant SKA one, and I will put that anywhere. Like,
because they're making SKA plushes, and I'm like, that's great. I'm going to buy an SKA plush, but it's like, I love action figures, and I want an action figure for every member of the expedition and Renoir, and I want them right now. I want them right now. Like, I would buy all of them today.
And red
With
glasses.
their baguettes, yeah, and they're cool, and their cool berets, and their striped shirts. I want it. Yeah, I want it. Like,
I really just want Gustav's one just to be a mechanical arm and nothing else.
yeah, oh, on some red leaves. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want a bunch of gestrels, like all the different like shapes and sizes of them, and I hope that they have like little buttons on the back that you can push and they just speak their little gibberish language.
Yeah.
All right. So during this fight, he also summons the Axons, or at least he summons the Sikan, and he summons the what's the other one?
Visage.
Facade.
Oh, Visage. That's right. And because the one in Old Lumiere, that one's dead, and the other one we don't know yet if you haven't optionally done that act. But that representing Mael, I guess it makes sense for just these two to be involved.
Because it's like the whole family is fighting against Mael.
Yeah. Then at one point, Mama appears, and it turns to black and white. So I was.
She doesn't just
like,
appear.
Yeah.
She like
Spoiler
a
alert.
portal opens up in the sky, and she like superhero lands on the ground and is like, "What's up? I'm
It's-
here."
Yeah, turns out Clay and Renoir were
Thor's tire.
and immediately found the painting.
Yeah.
Came back in.
Surprise, bitches! It was in the closet.
I'll hide it, and then she's gone for like 5 minutes. She's like, "There it is, found the painting, and I'm coming back." Yeah.
They just like put like a little like plastic tree in front of it, just like
Oh my gosh,
giant
I
thing,
didn't
but,
think
like,
about that. That's hilarious. She did. She immediately found the painting.
Yeah, it comes
Yeah,
back
yeah.
Thor and Wakanda style, just
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, it felt like Thor appearing out of like the Bifrost. Yeah, so she summons the giant paintress to fight the Axons. It's truly epic. It to me reminds me of a game we just recently talked about. Can't really get into it, but it's like this giant climactic epic last battle where for some reason it's so cool and epic to have giant monsters fighting in the background. Why does that work so well?
Well, it's fighting in the background while you're having like a more intimate battle. So you're getting the best of both worlds. You get the huge, crazy spectacle of giants punching each other around, but you're also having like an intimate, intense battle, like basically a one-on-one situation with Renoir.
And there are these giant cosmic entities that feels like it's like, oh, this is like an end of world, like climactic cosmic clash.
you're getting JRPG gameplay with a kaiju movie in the background.
Kaiju. That's excellent. Yeah. All right. So so after this fight, she decides, she tries to convince him that to stay because, how does he do this? He's lost everyone and everything and doesn't want to lose her too. She strikes back with that same sentiment that if she were to leave the canvas, she would lose everything. And this is the moment that finally breaks through to Renoir's, because it's like, okay, so it's not that you're not listening to me. It's that we actually understand each other perfectly, and you are expressing it in a different way. It's that we both want to be with the loved ones that we know.
See, I had a different thought with this one, how I read this situation, because the monologue leading up to this, I won't read the whole thing because it's a little long, but like Renoir has a really awesome monologue and then a slight back and forth with Mael where they're making their cases, and Mael says, "Don't you see? That's how I feel about them," talking about like they're my family. These my friends here are my family. I can't lose them either. I've lost too much, Papa. I've lost so much. And then Renoir goes, "We both lost so much." And then they kind of they talk a little bit, and she says, "I'm not going to stay." She says, "Papa, I don't want to lose you either. I'm not leaving forever, just a little longer." And I think this is the point where Renoir, I don't think that he's understanding her side as much, but I think that he's understanding that he can't stop her. And there's a point in your life as a parent or a guardian where you just kind of have to, and I haven't gotten here yet. I'm not speaking from experience. My kids are still little, but like, you just have to look at your child and say, I can't stop you from this. I'm going to respect your agency and let you make this choice, even though I feel like it's the wrong choice. And that's kind of the sense I got from him, where he's like, he doesn't necessarily agree or even really see her point of view, but he says, because you kind of get this like look in his face where he's like, I love you and I don't want you to do this, but I don't think I can stop you.
So here's why I think it breaks through, is because he, having expressed that I'm doing this because I love you and I want to repair this situation, she retorts, I also am doing this because I love these people and I want to stay here. And so it's not that he agrees, it's that he understands that her motivations are as intense and as equally driven by the same reasons that he's trying to do what he wants. And so once he realizes that her motivations are driven by that need to be with loved ones, he's like, that cancels out. I don't know how to stop you because I know it doesn't stop me.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I think we were saying the same thing in different ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I was completely heartbroken by the but I don't want to lose you either. Like, hey, I want to have my cake and eat it too, and it's just I just want to play a little bit longer. And I just,
which, by the way, his favorite daughter.
Yeah, his favorite daughter. But like, I love just the way this is acted out, because he does such a good job of just like, okay, I trust you.
I want to trust you.
I want to trust you. Just behind it, he's like, I don't think this is gonna turn out the way I want to turn out.
Well,
and so there's this little bit of disappointment behind his voice.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Well, and I think the last thing he says to her, he says, "I'll keep the light on for you. I hope you find peace. Hold on to each other." Because he's like, all right, if this is what you're fighting for, then mean it. I hope you find peace. Hold on to each other.
Mm-hmm. Right, so immediately after this, Verso enters the pocket dimension between paintings. It's a surrealist painterly galaxy with contrasting white and black and luminous gold and a faint dark red sun in sort of like a cosmic swirly black hole-like aesthetic. This is epic. Is this the best setting? They have had a lot of excellently staged fights, and it's just like, this was just so imaginative and creative and evocative of like this epic cosmic fight between now Verso and Mael.
I think I audibly gasped when he first got into this area. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, it just very visually striking. Yeah.
Is it a metaphor?
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of it is.
Everything, all the time.
We've learned this. We find the faceless boy painting endlessly on this loop. So he's in white and gold, similar to the curator and the painteress, and so Verso approaches him and tries to convince the boy to stop. And then he starts to white leaf gomage himself from this act. So the boy is stopping, Verso's starting to disappear. Yeah, it's just like the pain of like understanding that this is him talking to himself. He's like, you don't have to suffer anymore, just let go, because I'm okay with it. It hits hard, even though it's like an existential metaphysical moment that can't play out in real life. It's just like, imagine telling yourself, let this go and move on. And you wish you could tell that to a version of yourself that hasn't and suffered for too longer than was needed.
Yeah, and well, it's very well acted. You can tell that Verso is extremely emotional, and he's trying to like kind of keep it together, and he's just this really like, it's okay, you can stop painting. Was really, yeah, and I agree with you, Shan. Who wouldn't want to go back and tell a version of themselves to let something go that they held on to that they shouldn't have? Like, it really hits home.
Mm-hmm. So Verso, he calls out Mael for her lie. He could tell immediately she was lying. He thinks Renoir probably also knew this, but we established why he decides to be okay with it. So against the wall, she admits that she doesn't value her life in her shell of a body. So before it was all a subterfuge of, I'm doing this because I want to preserve Verso and I want to preserve the people. But having been called out, she finally reveals, no, I'm doing this because I'm being selfish. And I want to escape my reality that I can't live with anymore.
It's there's like, nothing for me there. My life is here.
Yeah. It's like Tim Robinson when he has too much shit on him. And he says he doesn't even want to be around anymore.
We did too much. I don't even want to be around anymore.
Which
always funny.
On the flip side of it, Verso really is saying he doesn't want to be around anymore. Like, that's his motivation here.
To be
like,
fair, yeah.
You know,
but he's not being selfish, and that's the turn.
Yeah, I think he is. He's killing everybody so that he can die.
No.
So he can.
No, he was doing that. Like originally, it was an intrinsic motivation. It was the moment that he sees that Mael was doing this to escape reality and not face consequences. That's when he decides, I need to go finish and gomage everybody.
I still think it's selfishly motivated on his part as well. I think they're both very selfishly motivated.
He wants it, but he decides to do it as soon as he sees that she's lied.
I think he was planning on... Because before she even says it, like... Because Renoir pulls up the portal and shows in there what happens to Aline when she's in the painting for too long, where she's kind of thrashing. But he's looking at that before Mael even lies to her father. He's already looking like, I'm going to go in there, you know. And he says to the boy, like, I'm tired too. You're tired of painting? I'm tired too. Like, let's stop. Let me go.
Look, I know he wants it, but this entire third act, it's him like, hey, I'm going to earn your trust back. I'm going to go back and get your Pierre back. I'm going to go get your families back. We're going to degomage everybody. He makes a decision since those moments to, never mind, I have to finish this cycle. And it's because of the third axon, and it's because he sees that from the third axon, it's like, oh, she would kill me to live here. And it's and then she lies about it to her dad. He's locking in, it's like, you know what? It does have to end. Not only for me, but because she is lying, and she will persist to lie, and it will destroy her. And if it's between just me dying or both of us dying, I'd rather just I would rather get her out of this world to save one of us.
So I'm kind of somewhere in the middle of you two. I lean definitely more towards Shan's way of thinking on this particular issue. I think that there's some selfish motivation for sure. Verso's tired. He wants to be done.
He has said that many times, yeah.
He wants, like, I think that there's some selfishness there. But I also think that he understands that ending the painting will help his family on the outside. That's what they need. The people in the real world need that. Particularly his sister, who's standing in front of him. He's like, you know, Papa couldn't make this choice for you, but it's what I feel like is the right choice. Maybe I can. And so he saw what happened to his mom and his father when they lose themselves in the painting, and what the damage that does to the world, that whole the painted world. And he's like, I don't want that to happen again. You know, this needs to end, this cycle needs to end, this whole painting, like the things that are happening inside of here, because of the acts of the painters on the outside, it's just like, this is a world that's never going to see peace. And so, and I think that's kind of the sense that I got from it is obvious. I think there's some obvious selfish motivations that he wants to be done. But I think that there's also a lot of selfless motivations that are like, it's making a hard choice for the world because it's killing everybody, but it's also that this world is broken and it's hurting the real world in a way that needs to be fixed.
Right, and the entire second act where he gets introduced and he needs to make his decision of, like, I'm going to lie to everybody to get the paintress killed to be able to end this cycle for all of us, including myself. He, after that moment, tries to establish that I need to go through a redemption arc because I lied to everybody, I need to earn their trust back, and I will decide to continue to live because I made a mistake and I need to fix it so that everybody else can live, even at my own grief. And this is him deciding, it's like, what's more important than fixing, because he still wanted to do that, but he's willing to put the collective above himself. Here it's like, well, it's not even about the collective, it's about saving Mael, who's the only one that matters because she's the only one that's real here.
I think both need to be true for Verso to do what Verso does.
Exactly.
I think he needs to have the selfish motivation as a driving factor, but then the family kind of greater collective is, like the straw that broke the camel's back, to where it's like, okay, I now have to take serious action. I have to break these people's trust that I just tried to earn back, and also get myself gomaged.
Yeah. Well, and we have to believe that he is trying to do the right thing throughout the third act for it to be like. If we thought he was being duplicitous the entire third act again to try to gomage them, it's like that. I felt like that would have revealed itself and not been like a sudden turn when he jumps into this pocket to say, "Hey, let's finish this." But yes, I think we're all just circling around the same thing. It's like he definitely wants this.
I think,
and it actually makes Mael's ending that much worse.
I think that part of what starts to turn him and why I think that third axon is so key is, like, I do think that his intentions are genuine at the start of the third act when it's like, I'm going to help bring everybody back, like, let's do this. But when Mael gomages Alicia and he like goes and he grabs the pedals and falls to his knees, CL comes and comforts him and he looks at her and he's got this look of sadness, and then he looks at Mael and it's just a look of rage. And he is very upset by this. Like, and so it's like, he's painted as a reflection of real-world Verso. And real-world Verso did sacrifice himself to save real-world Alicia. And now painted Verso has failed to save painted Alicia. And so I think there's a little bit of resentment there. And he does want to save Mael. I like, it's not like he's like, oh, like, making excuses. Like, I do think that he genuinely wants to do right by them, but he's also very much like, you know what? Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't bring everybody back. Like, I'm tired. They are not going to stop if I bring everybody back. Like, the painters will still be in here. They're still going to be messing everything up, and I'm immortal. Like, this is going to suck. And so, like, I do think it is both equally, where it's like, I'm going to kick them out, so they can deal with their problems and like they can heal the right way. But also, I am tired and I'm done and I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, like he has that selfish motivation of just like, nope, I am ending this. This is the end of my journey and nobody can stop me. Yeah.
He also says life keeps forcing cruel choices. This is a refrain that we heard from Papa, and now he's repeating it because he's adopted. He's come around to Renoir 100%. Like, I understand his argument. He died in order for me to, to believe his value, and so now you're against me. But like, if this, it would be a cruel choice in that it would make her suffer in a way. But like, if he genuinely thought it was the right thing and it was like an innocent thing because he was just sending her back to the world of living, then I felt like this line would mean less. But like, I think he just genuinely is conflicted about this choice because how much pain comes no matter what.
Yeah.
But then we get to fight, and she's like, don't keep repeating papa. He also said hold on to each other. It's like, yeah, you're kind of just hearing. It's selective hearing. That's the problem with you.
So this is the part where it splits off and you get to choose. You have two different endings. Can I make a slight... Can we talk about the Mael's ending first? Because I feel like it puts Verso's ending... There's some extra context there if you do Mael's first.
Yes,
Are we going to talk about them both? Yeah.
Yes, but it's going to reveal how we prefer. And so let's say what we chose, and then we'll elaborate as we talk. So who's on Mael's side? Anyone?
I'm legitimately 50-50. I'm like both.
Wow.
I have a really dumb reason for being on Mael's side. I acknowledge that, but I am on Mael's side.
SKA?
So
No.
I chose... I initially chose Mael, and then I reloaded a save, and I did Verso. So I played them both.
Okay.
But I feel more morally okay with siding with Verso in this last battle.
Yeah. My first time through, I picked Verso because he was the one that I had played with more and was a higher level, and I was like, I don't want to be stuck on another boss fight for forever. And so I picked his, and immediately was like, oh, that was terrible and tragic. I need to do the other one. And saw it and was like, oh, no. And so I was on Verso's. I preferred Verso's up until my second playthrough, when I did the third Axon and then maxed out Mael's relationship. And the reveal in that, I was like, this is dumb, but I am completely changing. And so that was the point where I switched. But like, they were pretty close to even, and since they were even, I went with something really dumb to give one the edge.
Okay. See, and I did the inverse. I did Mael's ending first, and I was like, ooh, that made me feel bad. And so I went back and did Verso's, and I was like, that made me feel a little bad, but better ultimately.
Mael's made me feel worse initially, but now I side, just because, like Tucker, it's 50-50.
Just go ahead and say the reveal, because we didn't talk about this.
The reveal.
Mael and Verso have a conversation when you max out their relationship.
Yeah, they have a conversation, and Mael ends up asking Verso. Like, we find out that Verso's been watching her from a distance because Clair came and asked him to. When Mael was born into the canvas, Clair entered the canvas, found Verso, and said, "This is my sister, watch after her." And so Verso's been watching her. We find out he's the one that took her from the beach when everything was going crazy. He killed some of the bigger Neverons in her path. And she said, if you've been watching me this whole time, I need you to tell me the truth. Gustav on the cliffs, did you let him die? And
I think it's could you have saved him?
Yeah, could you have saved him? And, yeah.
Which I think is a very, I mean, it gets to the same point, but a very...
I think she asks him both, like, could you have saved him? Did you let him die? Because
did you let Renoir kill Gustav? Yeah. Could you have saved him, is what she says.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was both.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And it gives you the option to choose yes, which is the truth, or no, I was too late, which is the lie. And so the player learns.
I sat on that screen for like a full 5 minutes, just like, whew.
Yeah. And that was the moment when I was like, he killed Gustav. Like he chose to let Gustav die. He's the reason Gustav is dead. And that immediately turned me. I was like, okay, you know what? No, screw you, Verso. Like, I'm going with Mael's ending. Yeah. Like, I'm choosing Mael's ending as my favorite now because you let him die. Like, that's the whole reason. Like, my own personal bias.
Not a bad reason.
I'm just like, you know what? No, something really dumb. My own personal bias. I'm going to let that inform my entire decision because if I take bias out of it, it's really, really tough.
Yeah. I chose Verso. I don't have any compunction with having done so. And I felt like the endings weren't equal at all. Like, Mael's ending was so much obviously worse. But let's get into it. So, so you have the incredible power to paint. You never have to suffer a life you don't want. I love this line.
Are we... No, that's
I'm going back to
ending.
the battle. So this is during the battle. So Yes, I chose the Verso's ending.
Well, can we talk about the Mael one first?
If you need to.
I just feel like it gives context to Verso's ending in a few important points. Is that okay? Am I messing up your flow if we do that?
No, it's fine. It's one paragraph later.
Okay.
All right. Epilogue, Life to Paint. So, yes. So what happens in the battle is you choose Mael, and she's like, hey, I don't want you to Gommage. I'm going to keep you around. He just kind of like loses. Does he? No, he doesn't lose his Chroma, right? He just kind of becomes a husk of a person. But he's like, please let me die. Please let me die. It's incredibly sad. I don't know how you can even get through that moment and think that you've done the right thing. It's immediately the wrong decision.
Well, he's laying there dying, and he goes, Alicia, I beg you, stop him from painting. And then as he continues to disappear, he goes, unpaint me, please, I don't want this life. And it's just this like, oh my gosh, and that's where you do see some of his selfish motivations, where he's like, I don't want this life, please let it end. So that's like the selfish desires of Verso. You do see that evidenced there. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then the epilogue, Life to Love. We are at Verso's memorial. What?
No, wait. You skipped over a bunch of stuff. So it goes back.
Oh,
to
we're on
Lumiere.
Alicia's ending. See, this is the problem with doing things out of order. Let me just cut and paste.
I messed Shan's flow up. Well, I played the game this way, Mael and then Verso, so that's the right way.
So we have to do it
it
Eric's way because we can't mess Eric up.
We're picking Eric's ending to this podcast.
A Life to Paint. Is there anything before we get to the epilogue that you need to say?
No, you just skipped the last half of Mael's epilogue, so I was.
All right.
Yeah, I think the one thing right before we get into the rest of it too, like after he's, like it almost makes it look like it's a death scene where he, but she does say that, she wanted to live this lifetime with her brother that she never got. And then, the screen kind of goes black and you hear a voiceover of her saying, if you could grow old, would you find a reason to smile? And then it kicks into the epilogue from there.
Super important line.
Yeah. Why do you think it's important, Eric?
Well, because of what happens in just a minute.
Okay.
Like towards the end of this scene, yeah.
So we're back in Lumiere. We go inside of a building. We have a lined-up procession of revived people trying to get in. Mael is with the faceless boy. They are all dressed similarly to Mael with this old garb. And Ciel has Pierre. Gustave has Sophie. They look a little more normal. They don't have the weird, uncanny clothing on them. And then in 4:3 black and white aspect ratio, white-haired Verso. He's very old and, he's a very handsome man at this point. He has aged well. But white-haired Verso, he takes the stage to play piano. He looks strained. But we find out he's forced to perform because he's being painted to do so or instructed to do so by we find out that Mael has fully adopted the role of painter and has like cosmic control over him. So, and she weeps as he struggles to begin, and and then he plays like this dissonant chord strikes, as we're seeing that face paint on Mael. So just like, I don't know how you watch it and you're like, this is the creepiest possible ending. She's controlling everybody as their puppets so that she can be amused.
Yeah, it has this really so it's interesting because everything that you've been working for towards this whole game is to save everybody, to bring him back to do Lumiere, and this is the ending that gives you that. But then there's this slightly sinister undertone of Mael / Alicia as the paintress, the new paintress, and she's in control of everything. And it also it was so much to the point that this ending it made me feel very unsettled, so much that when Gustave and Sophie are back, I didn't that should have been oh, Gustave is back, my favorite. I love Gustave. I saw that and I was like, it doesn't that. This, everything about this, it felt weird and unsettling. And I just, the idea that Mael was having some kind of control over Verso and making him either perform or just exist in this world when he didn't want to felt weird to me. And it was a different version of this cycle continuing where the paintress exerts some kind of control over this world and Mael is doing the same now.
I definitely, because I played this one second and saw Verso's ending first and felt really depressed and bummed when I did Mael's ending, I did have that like, oh look, they brought everybody back, and then I saw Gustav and was like, yes! And then when it was, as soon as Verso stepped out on stage, I was like, oh no. Like, because like at that point I was like, oh, okay, she let him die, like, this is the happy ending. The first time I chose the sad ending, this time I chose the happy ending, and then he steps out, and he sits down, and like when he reaches out, he's gonna play, but then his hand stops, and it looks like it's shaking, and when it cuts back to his face, he gets like this scowl and kind of like looks up, and it looks like he's trying to like fight it, and like, he's being defiant, like he recognizes.
Looks like he's in pain almost.
Yeah, he recognizes what's going on, and he's trying to defy it, and then you get that jump scare to Mael's face. And I was like, this is gonna haunt me forever. Like, this ending.
She's got like painted over eyes and is just blankly staring straight at Verso, and like,
well, and one of her eyes is missing. Calling back to the Alicia, like, so the paint is like in the socket, and like, it was horrifying. And that was when I was like, oh, like,
oh, they're both bad endings.
Yeah,
it's all bad. There's no happiness.
Right, and so I was just like, well. That just rained on my parade, because I was so happy to see, Minoko and Esquier in the foyer, and then Gustav like in the theater. I was like, yes, we did it, guys. Like, good job. This is much happier. And then it wasn't at all.
Yeah. All right, you can move on to Verso's now.
All right, Verso's ending. Yeah, an epilogue, Life to Love. We are at his memorial, right outside of their giant mansion, with an eye shot of the Eiffel Tower, because of course it is. And we see written on his...
Sorry, Shan, you did it again. You skipped over the most important part of dialogue.
No, I didn't. Go on.
You did. So you skipped right over the part where Mael disappears. So they have their battle. They're disappearing, and as Verso is holding Mael, and Mael says, "Don't do this. Don't leave me again." And then Verso says, "It's going to be okay. You've got this incredible power to paint. You never have to suffer a life you don't want." And that's why I think that seeing Mael's version, like Mael's ending, and then seeing this one is so impactful, because you realize that like that's something that Verso wants for himself, and he wants it for Mael as well, to be like, I just watched Verso suffering a life that he didn't want in the other ending, and then to go to this one, seeing him to like, it's okay, you can paint, just like paint a new canvas and you can live there. Like, this one needs to go because it's hurting everyone around it, but like, you have this incredible power to paint. You don't have to live a life that you don't want.
I do think that line, while it's loving, also kind of reinforces a little bit of his selfishness, where he's like, you can paint and lose yourself in some other canvas, just don't do it in one where I have to be alive.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. So again, a little bit of both. Yeah.
I want to point out, I did already say that line, and then you interrupted me a couple times, and so like I had said it, I wasn't skipping it. But
I messed up Shan's flow. It's all my fault.
You ruined you threw off the Emperor's Groove. Yeah. So it also, I didn't take it personally as him saying you can literally paint other worlds and go and escape in them. I took it metaphorically, as in, you're so incredibly talented that you don't have to live in this box that you've created for yourself. You can go live your greatest potential, which is also the point that Renoir was trying to make to her, is that stuff is weighing you down, but you have so much potential if you just move on, and you're not. And like, having come from like a background where, my family's impoverished, and kind of working up through that, both through their lifting us up and then me continuing the trajectory they helped put me on. It's like, you're really as constrained, like especially in this country, as by the opportunities that you choose to take and how aggressively you pursue them. And so that's why it's like, I really like this line. I resonate with this. I see other family members that are struggling and they're held back, but they're holding themselves back by not making the right decisions. And that's so painful to watch. Even if they're smart and talented, and they could otherwise be living another life if they just made better decisions. So anyway, at his memorial, we see on his tombstone, Je me peins dans le cuir. So this means forever painted in our hearts. They grieve at his memorial. They have a giant estate, and we see Alicia holding Esquier, which is just, I don't know, this melancholic. This is a beautiful moment. She's now no longer has the painting to remember Verso, but she has the stuffed creature of Esquier, and that in another way can carry on his meaning.
Well, and she has the same thing that all normal people have. Whenever normal people like us lose somebody, you just have memories. And I think that that's the reason that we're not all painters and can jump into like magical worlds where our family members and people that we love are still alive, is because that's not a healthy way to deal with that. We have the memories of those people and we can love those memories, and we can, but you know, I think that that's ultimately why that painting had to go, is because, you know, that's not how you're supposed to deal with grief. And I love that moment of Eileen and Renoir holding each other. It shows, like, because they had been pretty, you know, battling in that painting, and it just shows the Desandre family starting to heal and to really like come together, which makes me excited for what comes next. What's next for the Desandre family?
Yes, I think that makes an excellent point of like grief can either tear you apart or bring you together, and because of this decision to move on, they are coming together, and they are, you know, closer than we have realized they have been this entire story, which is incredibly divided. She looks up and she sees the expeditioners in front of her, and they go mage in front of her as they wave goodbye. The gesturals simply erase the expeditioners, turn into red petals. Verso turns into white petals, and Mael turns into gold petals. So each kind of denoting, you know, gesturals because they're painted, expeditioners because, yeah, I don't know. So we have kind of made our theory of like what all of these colors mean. Sometimes it's who gommages them. If they were being gommaged by Renoir, they turned gold in the painting. So some of that's tying in here, but Verso was turning white when the boy version was stopping painting himself. So it doesn't matter too much. I think we've kind of laid all of that out. But the point is that, like, when I saw this ending of seeing all the expeditioners, it hurt, but it hurt the right way. And so I felt like it was, you know, full story arc. It felt like Mael completed a journey, even if it was painful. And this moment of them gommaging is like, it was a beautiful symbolic representation of moving on.
Yeah, I think the phrase that this ending hurt, but it hurt the right way, is what makes it feel narratively satisfying to me. And I think that these two endings are so interesting because they're so layered. And you have the one ending where you choose to side with Mael, which seems like the happy ending. You, like, the mission that you were trying to accomplish the entire game. You accomplished it. You saved everybody. The Paintress is gone. There's no more sinister forces trying to kill everybody. And, like, you know, Gustave is back. Sophie's back. Everybody is back. Ciel has Pierre again. Like, everybody's back. And they're all alive. And it's this happy, you know, what should be the happy ending. But then there's this sinister undertone to it where you realize, like, oh, but they're all kind of under Alicia's thumb, to some degree or another. I don't know exactly how much, and so it's like what on the surface appears to be a happy ending, and under the surface is not so happy. And then the exact inverse, I feel like, is true for the ending where you choose to side with Verso. It seems like the sad ending. The whole painting is gone. Everyone inside that painting, all of the friends you've made along the way, all of the experiences that you've had, all of the places that you visit, they are gone. They're dead. All of them are gone. That's horrible and really sad and really tragic. But there's this underlying sense of like hopefulness and looking towards the future. And so I think it's so cool that they did that with these two endings, where it's like this one's like on the surface looks good, but underneath feels bad. And this one on the surface is horribly tragic, but under the surface feels hopeful. And I think it's an incredibly artful way to have those two endings.
That's well put.
Yeah, all intentional. There's a Games Radar. Anyway, has great, just talking to the writers of it. But I'm going to just read it, just because I feel like it this is
an interview with the developers?
There's the interview with the developers and writers.
All
so
right.
Talking about the ending, so both of them have parts of them that make you feel glad, that make you feel like I want a happy ending for these characters, but both of them have their own cost. It is a reflection of reality. A lot of times, some people's happiness does come with its cost. Things are rarely perfect. And I think they beautifully illustrated that with these two endings. Just the emotional cost of each choice. And, I was all Verso the whole way until my third playthrough. And then maybe it's the inner stoner in me of just like, okay, what is life? What is happiness? What is truly living? What is relationships and loves? Like, yes, these characters, the Expeditors, are, painted figures, but Mael's relationship with them is a real relationship. And so it's that propped up Mael's, where it's like, okay, I really understand where Mael's coming from. It's, hard to say, okay, you know what, you're not rooted in reality. But I get that she has no hope for a life outside of the painting. But on just core value-wise, it's like, hey, you need to handle your grief in a healthy way and move on. And so that's where it's like the other half of me like really is like, okay, Verso's ending is the right ending.
So the reason that I don't feel any grief about choosing to send her back is because it's when she revealed, I feel like she was using her relationship as a crutch to her argument, but it was only in the final act when she fought with Verso that she revealed, I'm actually doing this to escape my own shame and pain. And so she does want both. I'm not rejecting that. It's that her primary motivation isn't the right motivation, because she can still paint. She is still talented. She's just dealing with this external grief of feeling like something was taken from her. But, Renoir sees in her the potential to go on and still be a great paintress and still go influence the world. And he sees that in her. She just doesn't see it in herself.
Well, with Mael, she's not just giving up Verso, moving up from Verso. If she destroys this painting, she's ruining these, in her, a lifetime worth of relationships with everybody else in Lumiere. It's not just...
Right.
It's not
I agree with that.
She has Gustav, and so it's like, I get the, like, it's not just she would have to live this trauma with her brother and death, just 100-fold with these people that she's built relationships with. And so it's tough one. Like, it's a real mind effort.
I'm saying I agree with you. I'm saying it's when she revealed that wasn't her number one priority that made it easier to say you're wrong and you need to move on.
Yeah, well, I ultimately, think that Verso's is the more satisfying ending. I do think that we forget that Mael / Alicia, that when Alicia was going into the painting, that she forgot who she was. She was born as Mael, and she was Mael, so she has memories of, 16 years of a whole childhood where she wasn't Alicia in a painting. She was just Mael living in this world. And so I think that out of all of the painters and paintresses who have visited the world and lost themselves, that Alicia has probably a stronger argument for no, this is my home. And so I totally understand her motives and where she's coming from, and I think that it's an incredibly compelling thing, but I think that how her choices end up affecting the ending just feel too icky for me. Yeah.
And for me, why I kind of have gone back and forth is I started to look at it as okay, let's separate the actual characters from the endings themselves, whatever their motivations, because I think that both of them, if I look at both of them and their motivations, I always have to come back to, do the ends justify the means? Because, especially in Verso's case, I think that the ends are what they should be. In Mael's, they're not. But Verso's comes at the cost of everybody that lived in that canvas, right? And it comes down, it's a classic Star Trek argument here. How do you define a life? Whether somebody is a life and worth living, and if we look at these painted people in Lumiere, they're intelligent, they're capable of emotion, do they have the right to, kind of just dictate their own future? And the more I think about it, the more it's you know what? Yeah, they kind of are alive. They're living beings, even though they were created by the Desandra family. They have a level of sentience that they qualify as lives, which means that what the Dysandra family did in the canvas is genocide. So on the one hand, we've got genocide, but then on Mael's side, they're no longer really alive either. Like, they are, but they no longer have that control over their destiny. Death doesn't mean death. They kind of have lost their agency, like, and so at that point, do they even have, sentience? Do they really have, the capacity for emotion? Because she's the one that's now pulling the strings on that. It's no longer existing just in a natural state. She is guiding the course of events 100%. And so it's, it's this kind of trade-off of like, okay, like, obviously that one's bad, but this one, even if it ends the right way, do the ends justify the means? Like,
Yeah, it's a solid argument.
Like, this family needed to heal and move on. Does that justify genocide?
Listen, I don't know. Like, I think,
I don't know.
well,
Do I commit genocide every time I wake up from a dream?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's
that
such a cool, like,
yeah.
Like, that's such a cool, that's one of the reasons why I love this game, is because it just makes you think about it and reflect on all of these crazy things where it's like the end of the game basically is like, all right, so genocide or global subjugation, which one do you want to do? And it's like, neither, please.
Okay.
Like, they both sound bad. It's just, it's such an evocative game that, because what's the right answer? There isn't one.
Look, I also want to point out, with full context of how Verso had allowed Gustave to be killed by Renoir, it does allow space for karmic retribution for Mael to subjugate him into entertaining her. Suddenly you're like, you know what? She wouldn't have been put on this awful path had she not been manipulated mendaciously through the actions of Verso. That being said, remember, the callback to the line that they very specifically set up in the beginning of the third act is that it's all about essence and not verisimilitude. And in Mael's ending, she had established an entire puppetry and pageantry around verisimilitude, and they had no essence. These people are just performing for her. They're not even the original versions of themselves anymore, as denoted by them wearing the same clothes as she had in this surrealist, like, stage pageantry that she's doing for herself and her own amusement. So it just felt so vacuous of, like, of their original souls and intent, because they weren't thinking or acting for themselves anymore.
Yeah, it's just.
Do we need to take this to a bonus episode?
I think we do need to take it to a bonus. Because I have more notes and stuff that I want to talk about, just like on general musings about these things. So, but we're pretty well over time. So yes, bonus episode. I would love to do a bonus episode.
Cool. Collect your thoughts. Meet with us next week. We're going to break down the backlog of lore and then get into open discussion on the story structures, characters, everything else. It's fair game. We're going to talk about this argument a lot more because it's the thing that matters about this story. So please like, comment, subscribe. You can find us wherever you find podcasts. Watch Eric's Indie Corners on Mondays. Bye.
Bye.
Outro. Bleepity-doof, bleepity, bloopity, blow.